My name is Maribel Cross and I'm 33 years old. I work at a solid consulting firm, make good money, and own 2 apartments in the city. I live alone in the bigger one near the waterfront, and I rent out the smaller studio apartment. Well, I used to rent it out before my parents convinced me to let my younger sister Elena Cross live there for free. She's 28 and has been going through some tough times financially, so I've been helping her out for the past 2 years. My parents are in their early 60s. My dad works part-time in construction inspection, and my mom is a licensed practical nurse who picks up shifts when she can. They're not wealthy, but they always seemed like good people. At least that's what I thought until today. I also help them out with $1,150 every month to cover their utilities, groceries, and medications. Elena has always been the baby of the family. She's 5 years younger than me, and my parents have always treated her like she could do no wrong. She's had a string of boyfriends over the years, but nothing serious until recently. About 4 months ago, she started dating this guy named Ryan Hale. He's 30, works in product marketing at a startup, and seemed okay enough. At least that's what I thought. Today was supposed to be the start of our family trip to Maui. I was so excited about this trip because it meant going back to the place where I grew up. We lived there until I was 9, and then my dad got a job offer on the mainland, so we moved. None of us had been back since. The whole trip idea started 6 months ago when I was visiting my parents on my day off. Mom decided to clean out the attic that day, and she found our old family photo album. We spent hours looking through those pictures together. There were so many photos of our family in Maui, at the beach, at local festivals, in front of our old house. It was the place where Elena and I were born, where we spent our early childhood. It would be wonderful to go back there, I told Mom as we looked at the pictures. I would love to visit that place again, Mom said with a smile. So many good memories from when your father and I were young. I knew from Mom's stories that my parents had moved to Maui right after they got married. Dad was working for a small construction company there, and Mom was a receptionist at a medical office. They were young and in love, and Maui was their first real home together. We should all go back there as a family, I suggested. I said we could even hire a photographer to help us recreate the old pictures. Try to get the same poses, the same locations if they were still there. Let's do it, Mom said excitedly. This would be such a special trip for all of us. The only problem was that I was completely swamped at work at the time and couldn't handle organizing everything. I wish I could plan this whole thing, I said, but I'm just too busy right now. I can take care of everything, Elena offered. I'll book the flights, find us a hotel, arrange the photographer, all of it. So I transferred the money to Elena's account, about $9,400 total to cover flights, hotel, meals, and the photo shoot. She sent me confirmation emails for everything, and I was confident that everything was set up properly. But then, about 3 months ago, Elena met Ryan and suddenly announced that she wouldn't be going on the trip with us. She said she wanted to stay with her new boyfriend instead. You can't be serious, I said when she told us. We've been planning this for months. My relationship is more important right now, she said stubbornly. Mom and Dad were upset too, and we all tried to convince her not to bail on us. But Elena wouldn't budge. She said her relationship with Ryan was the most important thing in her life right now. Then about a week later, she suddenly changed her mind again. Never mind, I'm coming on the trip, she announced. The 4 of us will go together just like we planned. So here I was today, standing in the airport with my suitcase, excited to finally go back to Maui after all these years. I spotted my family across the terminal and walked over to them, ready to start our adventure. But as I got closer, I noticed something that made my stomach drop. Along with Mom, Dad, and Elena, there was Ryan. He was standing there with them, and he had a large suitcase with him. Hey guys, I said, trying to keep my voice casual. What's Ryan doing here? I assumed he was just there to see Elena off. Maybe say goodbye before she left for a week. But the suitcase was throwing me off. Oh, about that, Elena said, not even looking apologetic. You need to understand and forgive me, but we're taking Ryan on the trip instead of you. He's more important than you are right now. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. What? Mom stepped forward with a smile. Elena and Ryan have started living together, and they're getting engaged soon. They need to have some quality time together. I'll have plenty of time to spend with you later, Elena said casually. But this is a romantic trip for me and Ryan. Who knows when we'll get another chance to go somewhere this amazing together. Mom nodded. We really need to go now, Maribel. The flight leaves soon. Oh, and don't forget to water the flowers at our house while we're gone. I stood there in complete shock. I couldn't believe what was happening. After all the planning, after all the money I'd put into this trip, after all the excitement about going back to our childhood home, they were just cutting me out like I didn't matter. Have a good trip, I managed to say, my voice barely above a whisper. And then I watched them walk away toward the gate. Lena. Ryan. The family trip that was supposed to be about us reconnecting with our roots had turned into a romantic getaway for my sister and her boyfriend, funded entirely by me. I stood there for a few more minutes, watching them disappear into the crowd. Then I picked up my suitcase and walked out of the airport to catch a taxi home. When I got home, I felt completely empty inside. I dropped my suitcase in the hallway and just sat on my couch, staring at the wall. I couldn't believe my own family had done this to me. After everything I'd done for them, after all the money I'd given them, after all the support I'd provided over the years, I needed to talk to someone. So I grabbed my phone and texted my best friend Nadine Walker. We'd been friends since college, and she'd always been there for me when I needed someone to vent to. Hey, are you free to talk? Something terrible just happened, I wrote. She called me back within 5 minutes. What's wrong? She asked. Aren't you supposed to be on a plane to Maui right now? That's the problem, I said. That's the problem, I said. And then I told her everything about how I'd funded the entire trip. About how my family had planned this whole thing for months. About how they just replaced me with Ryan at the last minute. Are you kidding me? Nadine said. They actually did that to you at the airport. Yeah. They just told me I should understand and forgive them because Ryan is more important than me right now. That's the most messed up thing I've ever heard. What kind of family does that? I started crying then. I hadn't cried at the airport because I was too shocked. But now that I was home and talking to Nadine, all the emotions came flooding out. I can't believe they did this to me, I sobbed. I paid for everything. I organized my entire schedule around this trip. I was so excited to go back to Maui and see all the places from our childhood. Maribel, listen to me, Nadine said firmly. You need to get out of that apartment right now. Come stay with me at the lake house this weekend. We'll figure out what to do next. Nadine inherited a small cabin by the lake from her grandmother a few years ago. It's about an hour's drive from the city, and she goes there whenever she needs to clear her head. Sounded perfect. So I threw some clothes into a weekend bag and drove out to Nadine's lake house. The drive helped clear my head a little bit. I put on some music and tried not to think about my family enjoying their Maui vacation on my dime. When I got to the cabin, Nadine was already there with a bottle of wine and a bag of groceries. We're going to have a proper girls' weekend, she announced. And we're going to come up with a plan for how to handle this situation. We spent Friday night just talking and drinking wine. Nadine let me vent about everything. Not just the Maui trip, but all the ways my family had taken advantage of me over the years. How I'd been paying their bills. How I'd let Elena live in my apartment for free. You know what your problem is, Nadine said as we sat on the dock with our feet in the water. You're too nice. I just wanted to help my family, I said. There's a difference between helping and enabling, she said. You've been enabling them to treat you like a doormat. Saturday morning we went for a long walk around the lake. The fresh air and exercise felt good after all the stress of the day before. We talked about my job, my life, my goals for the future. Nadine helped me realize that I'd been so focused on taking care of everyone else that I'd forgotten to take care of myself. What do you really want, Maribel? She asked as we sat on a bench overlooking the water. I thought about it for a while. I want to be respected, I said. I want my family to appreciate what I do for them instead of just expecting it. I want to stop being taken for granted. Then you need to do something about it, she said. You can't just keep letting them treat you this way. We spent the rest of Saturday brainstorming ideas. Nadine suggested everything from confronting my family directly to cutting them off completely. But I needed time to think about what felt right for me. Sunday morning, I woke up with a clear head for the first time since the airport incident. I'd been thinking about everything Nadine had said, and I realized she was right. I had been enabling my family's behavior for years. I'd been so afraid of conflict that I'd let them walk all over me. I know what I need to do, I told Nadine over breakfast. I need to stop being their personal ATM. I need to show them that there are consequences for treating me like I don't matter. Nadine smiled. Now you're talking. What's your plan? I've been thinking about it all night, I said. Well, for starters, Ryan has been living in my apartment with Elena for the past few months. I'm going to kick them both out. It's my apartment, and I never gave him permission to live there. And I'm going to stop paying my parents' bills. If they want to choose Ryan over me, then they can pay their own way. We spent the rest of Sunday relaxing by the lake. I felt more at peace than I had in months. For the first time in years, I was going to put myself first instead of constantly worrying about everyone else's needs. When we drove back to the city Sunday evening, I felt like a different person. I was no longer the pushover sister who would do anything to keep the peace. I was ready to take control of my life and demand the respect I deserved. Call me if you need anything, Nadine said as she dropped me off at my apartment. And remember, you're doing the right thing. They brought this on themselves. I hugged her goodbye and went upstairs to my apartment. I had a lot of work to do and I wanted to get started right away. My family was going to learn that actions have consequences, and that treating me like garbage was going to cost them more than they ever imagined. Monday morning, I woke up with a sense of purpose I hadn't felt in years. I called in sick to work because I had important things to take care of. I wasn't actually sick, but I needed this day to handle my family situation. My first stop was the studio apartment where Elena had been living rent-free for 2 years. When I opened the door, I was immediately annoyed by what I saw. Ryan's stuff was everywhere. His clothes were mixed in with Elena's in the closet. His shampoo and razor were in the bathroom. His video game console was connected to the TV I had bought for the apartment. I went to my car and got several large garbage bags from the trunk. Then I went back upstairs and started packing up everything that belonged to both of them. Elena's clothes, her makeup, her books, her kitchen items. Ryan's clothes, his toiletries, his gaming equipment. His sneakers scattered around the living room. The more I packed, the angrier I got. Not only had they replaced me on the trip I had paid for, but Ryan had been living in my apartment without my permission. He'd been using my electricity, my water, my internet, all for free. And now he was probably posting photos from Maui on social media, showing off the vacation I had funded. Took me about 3 hours to pack everything up. I loaded all the bags into my car and drove to my parents' house. They had given me a spare key years ago for emergencies, so I let myself in. The house was quiet and empty, exactly as I expected. I watered the plants in the living room and kitchen, just like my mom had asked me to do. Then I dumped all of Elena's and Ryan's belongings right in the middle of the living room floor. There, I said out loud. Problem solved. I left the bags there and drove home. But I wasn't done yet. I called a locksmith and scheduled an appointment for that afternoon. I was going to change the locks on the studio apartment so that Elena and Ryan couldn't get back in. Then I called a realtor I had worked with before when I bought the apartment. Hi, this is Maribel Cross. I need to find new tenants for my studio apartment as soon as possible. Of course, she said. When will the current tenants be moving out? They're already out, I replied. I can show you the place this week. While I waited for the locksmith, I took care of some other business. I logged into my bank account and canceled the automatic monthly transfer of $1,150 to my parents' account. I had been sending them that money for 3 years to help with their expenses. Then I called their internet provider and canceled their service. I called their streaming service and canceled their subscription. I called their cell phone company and removed them from my family plan. Every single thing I had been paying for on their behalf I canceled. The locksmith arrived at 2 in the afternoon and changed the locks on the studio apartment. I paid him in cash and got 3 new sets of keys. One for me, one for the realtor, and one spare. By the time I got home that evening, I was exhausted but satisfied. I had accomplished everything I had set out to do. Now I just had to wait for my family to come back from their Maui vacation and discover what I had done. I didn't have to wait long. Every day while they were gone, they sent me photos from the trip. Pictures of them at the beach, at restaurants, at tourist attractions. Ryan was in every single photo, standing in the spots where I should have been. Sometimes he was even wearing clothes that I had seen in the old family photos from when we were kids. Having an amazing time, Mom texted with a photo of the 4 of them at a luau. Wish you were here. The hypocrisy was unbelievable. They wished I was there. They were the ones who had replaced me with Ryan at the last minute. But I just sent back a smiley face emoji and waited. Look at this beautiful sunset, Elena texted with a photo of her and Ryan on the beach. So romantic. Another smiley face emoji from me. The hotel is incredible, Dad texted with a photo of their suite. Thank you for making this possible. At least he acknowledged that I had paid for everything. But it was too little, too late. I sent him a smiley face too. This went on for the entire week they were gone. They sent me dozens of photos showing off their amazing vacation, completely oblivious to the fact that I was furious about the whole situation. They actually seemed to think I was happy for them based on my emoji responses. Finally, on Sunday evening, I got the call I had been waiting for. It was Mom. I didn't answer the phone. I just let it go to voicemail. Then my phone started buzzing with text messages. First from Mom, then from Dad, then from Elena. Why are Elena's things at our house? And why can't she get into her apartment? Why did you move my stuff? I can't get into the apartment. What's going on? I ignored all of them. An hour later, I heard loud banging on my front door. I looked through the peephole and saw all 3 of them standing there, looking angry and confused. I took a deep breath and opened the door. They immediately pushed past me into my apartment without being invited. What the hell did you do? Mom shouted. You had no right to kick Elena out of that apartment, she continued. We're family, Dad added. We're supposed to support each other. You way overreacted, Mom said. This is not how you handle family disagreements. Elena just stood there glaring at me. This is so unfair, she said. Where am I supposed to live? I looked at all 3 of them calmly. You chose Ryan over me, I said. You decided he was more important than me. So now you can all figure out your own problems without my help. That's not the same thing, Mom protested. I canceled my monthly payments to you, I continued. I also canceled your internet, your streaming services, your phone plan, everything I was paying for. And I hired a realtor to find new tenants for the apartment. Elena's face turned red. Ryan and I have nowhere to go. You can stay with Mom and Dad, I said. And now you need to forget about me and get out of my apartment. They stood there for a moment looking shocked. Then they started arguing again, but I wasn't listening anymore. I had said what I needed to say. After my family left my apartment that night, I felt a strange mix of relief and sadness. I was proud of myself for finally standing up to them, but it hurt to realize that this was what our relationship had come to. Still, I knew I had done the right thing. Over the next few days, Elena started texting me with threats. This is totally unfair. I'm going to sue you if you don't let me back into the apartment. I've been paying utilities for 2 years. That means I have legal rights. Her messages grew more desperate. You can't just kick me out like this. I'll take you to court and get what's mine. I started to worry that maybe she actually had some kind of legal claim, so I called my lawyer, Daniel Brooks, who had helped me with the purchase of both properties. Don't worry about it, he said after I explained everything. Paying utilities doesn't give her ownership rights. She was living there because you allowed it. She has no legal claim. That made me feel a lot better. I saved the message in case I needed it later. My parents tried a different approach. They left voicemails trying to guilt me. Maribel, please call us back. We need to talk like adults. Family is the most important thing. Dad left one too. We raised you better than this. I didn't respond. Then they involved other relatives. My aunt called trying to shame me. Your parents are devastated, she said. Did they tell you what they did to me? Yes. They said you disagreed about the Maui trip. They replaced me with my sister's boyfriend on a trip I paid for. At the airport. There was silence. I didn't know it was that bad, my aunt finally said. After that the calls stopped. About 3 weeks later, I ran into one of Elena's friends at the grocery store. Ryan broke up with her, she said. He said living with your parents was too much. I wasn't surprised. A month after the Maui trip, Mom called again. This time her voice was softer. We want to make things right, she said. We'll plan another trip. Just the 4 of us. I'm not paying, I said. We'll pay ourselves. No, I said. The problem isn't the money. You showed me exactly how much I matter to this family. There was silence. After that they stopped calling. The realtor found new tenants quickly. A young couple rented the studio apartment within 2 weeks for $275 more per month than before. I invested the extra income into my retirement account. Dad went back to working full-time. Elena moved back into her childhood bedroom. And I finally started living my life for myself. I even started thinking about taking that trip to Maui alone. Not for revenge, but for closure. Sometimes standing alone is the only way to stand strong.